So you can see the players having their photos taken on the set at the moment. These are the 6 guys who'll be taking their seats soon. David Yan, an EPT reg, used to be a regular guest commentator here on EPT Live. He's the chip leader coming into play, just ahead of Alexei Koroshenin, the EPT 10 Vienna main event champion. And this is what they are playing for today. The winner will get close to €500,000. 9 players got paid in this. So the bubble burst yesterday. Everyone now guaranteed the better part of €100,000. And Shemian has opened under the gun with kings. And Ramin Hacıyev has picked up ace queen suited under the gun +1. Ramin is a former tennis pro. Actually spent 11 years living in Spain while pursuing his tennis career and actually represented Azerbaijan as part of the Davis Cup team. Now runs a series of businesses in his home country, but plays poker because it is his passion and mainly plays big buy-in events. And it's had some decent results. As you mentioned when you introduced him, Joe, he was 5th in the 10K event, which kicked off the festival here in Malta.
Pretty good start to the series, cashing for €46,000. Free rolling basically in the 25K here. Things may not turn out super well for him though. Yeah. This is a cooler.
He's just re-raised and he's 3-betting out of a 40 big blind stack. 67,000 he's make it. Quickly folded back around to Shemian. My apologies, we've got Koroshenin first, but he's going to get out of the way with Queen 8. Now it's back on Shemian.
It's like he got dressed off a random suitcase that just fell off the belt at the airport.
Shemian shoves on Hacıyev.
Can Hacıyev ever get away from ace queen suited? How much did he stick in on the re-raise? 67,000?
I mean, bear in mind, he put near enough 25% of his stack in.
How much is the total?
With the 3-bet.
It's just one of those situations where you call and you pray you're flipping. Now, all I was the shortest stack.
How much?
264.
That's Ilkin Amarov, also from Azerbaijan, a good friend of Ramin's.
Amarov, am I right?
Might remember he came into the EPT 12 Prague final table as the chip leader, finished 3rd in that tournament.
Even though O is the shortest stack, I don't think you're going to be crushing him very often.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not so much about Hacıyev's stack as about the fact that Shemian the shorty betting without a plan, right?
I think you do have a plan. I just think that plan immediately comes into question when you're faced with the all-in. I think you're thinking, I'll 3-bet, let him jam on me, let him jam, and then you're like, well, hold on a second, wait.
There's the fold.
Good fold.
So Shemian chips up. And he is no longer the short stack at the table. Shemian hovering around the 35 big blind mark. This was unraised pre-flop, blind on blind.
Well, Shemian has made a small bet at this. Exactly half pot.
Hacıyev calling with his straight draw. Nothing changes on the turn. Shemian still ahead with top pair, now a 4-1 favorite.
Both pick up a gut shot. double gutted for Olashemian. That makes him an open-ended. That's an open-ended.
It was open-ended on the flop.
It was open-ended. Well, no, they're both open-ended.
Oh,
now.
Hacıyev, yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm looking at things backwards. Just looking at one card for each of them when I should have been looking at two. Man, that's my fatal flaw.
So Shemian fires again, 33,000. And once again, Hacıyev calls.
He's got draws up the wazoo. He's open-ended, like I said.
Well, the straight draw doesn't get there. Shemian improves to trips.
10 high, very bad. Well, Ola's got two options here. Value bet and probably not get paid off. Or check and let his opponent bluff since most draws did not come in. There weren't that many out there, however.
$58,000.
He elects to go for value. 58,000.
58,000 into 138,000. Looking to get called by an 8 or a 7.
But not by 10 high. Hacıyev gives it up. So that brings us to hand number 16. Still got 43 minutes left on this level. 6,000, 12,000 blinds. After that 43 minutes, we'll take our first break of the day. David Yan's turn to pick up kings.
Come on!
Under the gun +1, he raises to 28,000. Round to Alexei Koroshenin in the small blind, 7-3. He mucks it. Shemian in the big blind has got jacks.
Goodbye, Ola. It's been real. The good news is that sixth place money is going to go really, really far at whatever vintage store you got that shirt at.
So Shemian shoves from the big, gets snap called by Yan, and Shemian is at risk and a 4-1 underdog. If kings hold here, Olashemian will bust in 6th place and cash for nearly 100K, and David Yan will retake the chip lead at this final table.
What you're gonna do, right?
Speaking of Steve McQueen, Hiltz, cooler.
All good so far for David Yan.
You do it on the night. Huh? Nine later.
Yeah.
So just a 2-outer for Olashemian with one chance to hit, down to 5%.
Winning 83 says 2014, Ola would hit a jack.
He's trying the standing up trick. David Yan doesn't like it, but he has to go along with it. The river is a 9. Olashemian departs in 6th. We are down to 5 players. He did come in as the short stack at the start of play. He's the first man out. His actual cash, 98,740 euros. Everyone now guaranteed 127K. And the favorite to claim the top prize of 466 grand is David Yan. Queen 9 from Hacıyev. And he completes from the small. David Yan with Jack 10 raises from the big. And these are two interesting hands, Joe, because if one player connects, the other player connects.
Probably a little bit, yeah, huh? It's great. Great, yeah, see? That's
Exhibit
exactly
A.
it. Look at that. Did you watch this hand before?
No, I didn't. I know what these blind-on-blind confrontations are like. So top pair for Hacıyev. The gut shot for David Yan. Plus officially 2 overs to the board. Hacıyev officially a 2-1 favorite as David Yan continues. Undersea Monkey points out that he totally would have played this event, the 25k high roller in Malta, but it would have been a rush to get back for the £25 event at his local casino.
Oh man, you can only pick one. Man, I was gonna be like, what's the sweatiest turn card? And I was gonna go with the 8 of spades. We got the 8 of clubs instead. Yan gets there. Hacıyev drawing deed.
Oh dear. Carl says Yan's cloth in the ear is starting to be a bit distracting. So he goes check on the turn. Board pairs on the river.
Dramatic snap zoom.
All in.
Whoa, that is an expensive ticket to Valueville. Flopped top pair. What you gonna do when David Yan comes for you, my brother? And that is fold. Another good fold from Hacıyev.
Hacıyev picked up kings, raised from the cutoff. David Yan calling on the button with ace-9 of clubs.
Kings are going around like a cold at kindergarten. I like it.
Uh-oh, David Yan with top. Hacıyev still way ahead with the overpair. And my understanding is that we have Randy back on the line, hopefully in stereo surround sound. Randy, can you hear me?
I can hear you just
Hey,
fine.
Randy, not now. We got a big hand shaping up.
All right. I mean, it's going to be hard to get away from top pair, top kicker. Bad timing, huh?
Especially when you got all the chips.
That's the point, is Hacıyev doesn't actually have a massive stack. He's only got 17 bigs behind after making this bet of 53,000.
I mean, I expect a raise all in or something similar at this point because he doesn't have that many chips left. Like, I mean, how can you, if you're going to call ace-9 suited here pre-flop, you're definitely going to get it in on this flop.
Well, it didn't go in on the flop, but I think it's pretty likely to go in on the turn.
Well, the turn is a little bit scary, so actually I think both players are gonna, they might quiet down a little bit, although Hacıyev, yeah, he's slowing down. He's scared of like 8-7, something like that. So actually might save Yan some chips.
That's what I meant to say. I know I said it was all going to go in, but I meant to say probably not because of the straight on board. That's possible.
Yeah, exactly what you said.
Was what I meant to say. Randy.
So with Hacıyev slowing down, with Hacıyev checking, it's Yan who takes over the betting. Quite a small bet here, Randy, 43,000 into 194,000, and especially small when you consider that Hacıyev's C-bet was 53,000.
Yeah, this is well, from Yan's point of view, he's basically thinking like, okay, I just don't want to give this guy like a free shot to draw if he's got like ace king high or like queen jack or king 10. So that's why he's betting. He feels, I mean, this is not going to get kings to fold. You know, if kings was scared on his turn card, he's just going to be like, well, it's only 43,000. There's 200,000 in this pot. I'll call and see what happens on the river. I mean, I expect him to at least check call. He might go all in because he only has 150k behind. Yeah, I think Yan's just trying to get a free shot at getting this to cheap showdown.
It's like naming his own price on Priceline.
Yeah, because imagine if he goes check, check, right? And then the river is like a 2, and then Hacıyev bets like 100K. Well, now he has to pay like 7,000 more. So he's trying to like manipulate the pot a little bit.
23 Pixels on Twitch asking, would you go all in with kings on this case?
Well, that's
Well, it looks like he's going to do that.
Hacıyev has chosen to done. It's triangle time.
Do you remember when I said I was very likely to go all in on the turn? I just want to reiterate that statement that I made.
So from Jan's perspective, what would you make of this if you're sitting there with ace-9?
I mean, actually, I think I can get away from ace
Yeah,
here.
I don't think you're ever ahead, are you?
You basically need to pray your opponent has like 10-9. It's just like, oh, well, I'm all in. But like, I think it's like, is he even opening 10-9? Maybe not with this stack size. So like, I think he should be able to get away with an ace-9. He's probably like kicking himself a little bit that like, oh, I bet so small. Maybe I induced some action that I wasn't supposed to get. And if he does make the call, it's going to be because of that small bet sizing. I don't think he will, though.
Now, Randy, about this shove, when you shove with kings here, do you think you get called by a worse hand very often?
Not often, but you can occasionally if your opponent called you with like ace-8 with 2 diamonds, you know, something like that, 10-8 with 2 diamonds. They probably will call because they got a lot of outs, but this pot's pretty massive. Like, he's just protecting his hand here of kings. If he's beat, he's beat because he doesn't have much left, so he doesn't make the call.
So Jan calls, and Hacıyev is the player at risk, but is near enough an 80% favorite here. Just has to fade an ace or a 9 on the river. I mean, Jan will still be the chip leader here. He'll still have more than $1 million should kings hold. The river card is an 8, so kings do hold. Hacıyev gets the full double up, and that will see him move up to 3rd in chips. He's now back up over 50 big blinds. So Wojciechowski with king, queen suited here. Raises under the gun. Karashenin has folded. Hacıyev is out. David Jan is in the small blind. Looks somewhat interested. He has got a pair here. Another small pair. It was 4's last hand. It's 6's this hand.
Yeah, just going to take a cheeky look at this. That was the value ding going off in Max's head. 16,000 to call this. Get involved with these boys with the speculative 6-8 off.
Sees that he's getting a good price, makes the call, and we are going 3-way to the flop. Which is king, 10, 7. Wojciechowski with top pair. Max with a gut shot. Not much for David Jan to get excited about.
No, especially as we can see Max has got one of his outs. Not that he will know that, but pretty sure that if you're going to play the pocket sixes pre, as soon as that ball comes down, you go bye-bye hand. Bye-bye hand. Got himself the gut shot now. Be surprised if he wants to pay any more money. But if it checks round, there's a glimmer of hope. What's he thinking about?
So Max betting his pair and his draw. 74,000.
How aggressive do you think he wants to get with his king on this board? So many rivers can just absolutely destroy your day.
Max betting a significant percentage of his stack here. He's only got 228 behind. David Yan folds. We're going heads up to the river, which is a 10. So the board bricks out for Max, and he's got less than pot behind.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's an all or nothing situation, isn't it? But it gives him the option to try and scare Badziakovsky out of it.
And Max announces that he is moving all in, shoving for 228,000. And now the decision with Badziakovsky. He was the pre-flop aggressor, raised under the gun, flop top pair, but did not continuation bet into two opponents. Max Silver led the turn, Badziakovsky called, and now facing an all-in on the river. And this is for more than 2/3 of Badziakovsky's chips.
All the poker geniuses on Twitch. Oh, bluff fail, easy call. Well, I'm not so sure.
It is the way, if you think about the line Max has taken here, checking flop, betting turn, there's a lot of tens in his range. Calling out of the big blind, very difficult to actually put him on a hand because he was getting a great price with the call from the small blind as well.
Yeah, that pre-flop spot makes it very hard to put him on any kind of specific range, doesn't it? Because, as you say, he's getting so much value. Even if he had a legit hand, he would have come along for the ride, and because of the value, likewise.
But again, we come back to the fact that because there are two tens on the board, the likelihood of him having a 10 is reduced. By no means is this an easy decision, especially when you consider this is not a trivial portion of Mikita's remaining stack. I need to go.
I will better watch it for free.
Sorry?
I will better watch it for free in 30 minutes.
You can pay me now. Sorry.
How much do you play now?
Well, pretty much every day.
Like 7,
As often as I can.
four stacks of blue, right?
700.
This is shaping up to be a domination situation.
Sorry.
Here there be fireworks. Give him a pocket pair. Nah, see what we really need. These are the situations where you want
You're
the guy.
a sick B-word.
Yeah, I just like it. There's always this situation where you get the big premium, you know, hands, and then there's somebody with pocket threes. And you go, just come along, just come along for the ride.
Oh, I thought you were hoping for like queens.
No, it just feels like a hand isn't complete unless you go to the flop three-way and there's one guy with a pocket twos.
These guys are all too good, though. What I like to see is there's a guy who's got like pocket fours and then just comes along like the three-way all in, where it's like ace king, jacks, ace queen, fours.
Dong is saying ace queen always wins here.
Dong.
I don't know if maths is going to support you on that. I think it certainly, throughout history, has occasionally beat the dominating ace-king, but I don't know if you could say always. However, do you know, I'm just immediately... immediately ready for some horrible, horrible things to happen to people.
Dong, da dong, dong, dong.
It's a beautiful scenario. Everyone's blocking each other. Everyone thinks they've got great draws here, but haven't connected. We've got the diamonds also in action, so the back door hugely important to both these players. But you are both delighted at the potential, but also petrified of the potential.
Yeah.
Well, the queen. The queen, indeed, feeling good about life right now, jumps to a 93% favorite.
My queen.
Koroshena now. Also, a little cheeky check from David Yan here. Opening up the door.
Now, it's not over yet. That doesn't help.
Bing bong hello, says always the nuts. I like that. That's a good way of describing these kind of situations.
You think it's bing bong hello, or is it bing bong hello?
I've got to pick up in a minute. I've been hugely insulted. The only problem is someone's made a mistake as to who I am. So that somebody's accidentally insulted a completely different person, going, I hate you.
So now 2 people are insulted?
Yeah. I was all ready to be hugely insulted, and then I realized he didn't know who I am.
You do owe an apology to Dong, however.
I do. Again, as this week progresses, as we bring you all of our coverage, we'll see if Ace Queen does indeed always win. I just think it's a bit of a grand...
He means always wins in this one situation.
Well, and even that, I'm not sure I'm going to
send him a basket of apology kittens on your behalf.
Oh, thank you, man. When? When are you going to do that? Now? Oh, it doesn't sound like you are.
That basket of apology kittens.
You did remember to like put air holes in.
I really didn't. I'm gonna own this one.
Right. Hacıyevdir on the button with the pocket queens. Sometimes life's sweet, but you need 2 sides to an equation. You need someone to have a hand to come up against you with your premium holdings. People don't really talk about holdings anymore. I like that word. A7. We've seen all-ins with less, and indeed he's all-in and immediately winces with agony as he sees the queens, but he's not dead. Gonna need some help.
Sorry we're boring you, Max.
Nice hand.
Well, don't say that just yet.
No, it's the time to say it, I think. So you don't have to say it. Yeah, see, now you can't say it. You just look like a dingus. Amarov, am I right? Maximum silver, maximum double up.
Or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on the floor.
No, you're right.
Just an extra needle.
Isn't it horrible that you have to look so unhappy when in fact you've not done anything wrong and you actually weren't in control of any of the things that happened, but you have to wear a face that says, well, this is just disgusting.
I think this is one of those things that you and I disagree on. I actually say sorry to people when I hit the ace. I go, sorry.
Just like to say, if you said the whole sentence, I'm sorry you got unlucky, that I actually find isn't just saying, I'm sorry. Because I think the default setting of the phrase I'm sorry is
yeah,
like,
I'm not apologizing.
Yeah, but I think it's very hard to say to people I'm using the phrase I'm sorry and then the caveat is but I'm not apologizing. You go, why are you saying anything then?
And like I said, most people agree with you.
Meanwhile, Badzikowski all in. And Max Silver just can't help getting all of his chips in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, Max Silver stands to lose the minimum silver in this all-in situation.
Give
Since
him an 8th and a king.
Actually, you had a chance to fold.
Bajikowski
I know.
I mean,
is the shortest stack on the
That's why
table.
you can't be too excited, otherwise then he's gonna think about it, right?
I want you to have both an ace and a king on the flop. Okay.
and 3 and turn.
We'll see.
We should pause the action so that Joe can run down and say, I'm sorry, regardless of what happens. Oh my
Okay.
God.
That's fine. Agreed.
That's the flop. That's the turn this over. We agreed.
Oh, man alive.
Sorry.
Joe! Stop. Sorry to continually go all in. Look, he's devastated at how incredibly lucky and happy he is.
Well, he's got a long way to go still. Less long way to
Less
go now.
long-ish.
Shorter.
Still ace and over.
You up for it?
Quality commentary. Shorter now. Tiny.
Brick, ship it.
So I'm afraid Mikita Badziowski, he dabbled in the danger zone and now he's in the exit zone.
It's my lucky day.
You're so lucky, man.
Finally, after two and a
What kind of
chunk
game are you playing?
hours of play, we're down to the four-handed table. We probably thought we would be at this stage. 127,400 euros. A raise here from David with the Queen 8, the pocket sevens of Koroshenin. Gonna love that to pieces, but let us not forget that meanwhile, Max Silver does have 9-10 clubs, 2 clubs down there. So gut shot and the 10 high flush draw for him.
Max Silver.
And of course, Jan also has the gut shot here, the 5.
With your stack.
Oh, he's standing up. Camera wasn't expecting that. Was not expecting him to stand up there. Just pan up his nostrils. It's just such a loaded flop.
Some more chips are going in.
Oh yeah. $302,000 in the middle. I'm not very excited by that, Jack. I know I haven't got any cards, and therefore that's a given.
Why is it if you're up and down, you'll hit pair or like pick up a flush draw, but if you got a gut shot with a flush draw, you would have made your up and down? Like, why?
That's poker.
Like, I see 10-9, I'm like, Jack, like, yes, straight. Oh, no, wait.
Oh.
Max Silver trying to give himself as many ways as he can to win this pot. He will not be getting a fold from Alexei Koroshenin. Not now.
See, and this is where in the old days, Joe, I would have expected a raise to protect your hand, but I know that the pros are more inclined to play this in a way that I would have attributed to cash game play, where they kind of let the hand develop.
Yeah, it's an interesting check on the turn, I think, and so I think that a check raise isn't out of the question here.
Chikol was saying, oh my God, what's Silver doing? But that's welcome to the world of watching really good poker players play in ways that you hadn't considered, and it's only once you absorb enough hours of it that you start to at least recognize the patterns and then start to see the profit that it brings them. And it's...
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just repeat something that I learned a long time ago. And instead of thinking what these players are doing is wrong, think about why what they did might be right. Like, Max Silver's got his reasons for playing his hands the way he is, and he's probably right. So let's try to figure out why that would be right.
I agree. I oft quote you, because I don't know who you were originally quoting, so I just pretended.
That's me. But it was based on something on Ike Haxton, because Ike Haxton was always doing these things, and I was like, well, I don't know why Ike's doing this, and I was like, but I'm sure it's right, so let's figure out why.
Yeah.
Now, when Max calls the flop, like, I don't see him, like, calling the flop with, like, a total air ball, just like a total float that he's going to fold the turn. So I'm curious as to why Alexei didn't bet twice.
All in.
And that's why, because he was check raising.
That's annoying. How much?
So British. That's annoying.
Why have you gone and done this?
You, sir, are a cad and a bully. And I, for one, am jolly vexed.
What's the thing that dude says in the video where he's, the YouTube video is like sitting with the sunglasses on and his friend hits him in the head? And he goes, oh, why have you done this?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Total.
Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Snakes alive. You've worked so hard to get yourself back up in chips.
See, and I don't think that Koroshenin can have too many draws here either. Yeah, because Max, you know, has that kind of locked up.
Come on.
Another pair of premium hands crash into each other. David Yan, excuse me, Joe, has made it 50,000 over to you.
I was going to say, we got a big hand brewing. Like
Thanks.
a pot of Darjeeling tea.
Keep going, keep going. You can bring
Or
this
a-
round.
What else brews?
No, you can't. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just going to go back to checking Tinder.
Sorry, when you said like, I thought there would be, you know, like
That's
TIE
only for
fighters
race,
versus...
only for race situations,
Right,
Matt.
okay. I thought there might be more.
Unbelievable.
So I believe, even though we're a little bit behind on the action, this has been a re-raise from Max, which has cleared out. Yeah, 185,000. Alexei is out of there. Back on David Yan with the pocket jacks.
All in.
How much is it?
Well, that's rather inconvenient.
We saw ace queen suited,
break me for this one.
the exact same suit,
I'm not-
get folded
Definitely not for me.
earlier today
You guys can do cut flips, cartwheels. I mean, maybe this is really bad, but
to a jam from David Yan, but Yan had kings in that case. It was Ramin Hacıyevdir who got away from it the first time. Max calls.
And now you can come up with two things that are kind of similar.
Like a pot of Darjeeling and a pot of oolong. One of these two hands has a slight mathematical advantage.
Some of Joe's best work.
Are they
right
not?
here.
Is that not a
Okay,
race? Darjeeling versus oolong.
No, actually, that's pretty good. It was the delivery that I was a little bit disappointed by. I'm not going to be honest.
It's
We'll
pretty,
just
pretty
fix
big
it
flip,
first.
man.
pretty big flip, yeah.
No, this is
Yeah,
live.
What?
Yeah, that is a little
It's
bit.
okay. You guys can. You don't have to hide your excitement if we bust. No, I'm just kidding.
Pretty bad.
The only boring paint card.
Well, David, I mean.
Well, it's not boring to David Yan, I guess. Pretty exciting. Sure, pretty happy for it to run out king.
Just one more card spade. Could be a Greenstein. Hope you're ready with a button just in case. Aces or queens or... Oh, man.
Sixes and sevens with an ace kicker. That doesn't counterfeit him.
I got it.
No. That's a big injection. That is going to make David Yan into a monster.
So Hacıyev all in. Yan considering it with ace-7. We know he's dominated.
He's
There's the reshove.
gonna use his big stack.
Now I got to have some fun.
Max has got a sweat.
I don't think I'm even calling the best one, but let's see.
Fold.
Tuz yetti orada, tuz 9 məndə.
So it's domination nation, and for once, Azerbaijan is on top.
But at risk. Last $250,000 plus chips in the middle for him.
This will put Max in a real spot if Ramin doubles up.
Looking pretty safe right now.
Here's the board. That is
Less than.
okay.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Stop out there.
Okay.
Feel like that puts us down to 2 outs.
Yeah, the diamonds are dead. Safety first. Ramin still with us.
Hacıyev with a big pocket pair as we come back from break.
Yeah, first hand at the new level, and Hacıyev, who starts the hand around the 20 big blind mark, finds kings.
How much do you have? You're like
494, according to the official count.
Max may not be able to fold an ace, but yes, he gets away from it.
Round to Alexei Koroshenin, the EPT10 Vienna champion. He's in the big blind, and he's got ace-king.
Ayya.
David, I've stopped watching the coverage. Let me know if anything interesting happens. I assume not, but I mean, I can go back now and poke news and watch it there.
Koroshenin puts in a 3-bet. A re-raise from the Ukrainian to 152,000.
I think Hacıyev has played all his big hands pretty straightforward. Given his stack, I don't see any other way he would play it, other than to put in a 4th bet here, and the 4th bet should be for all of it.
Could be triangle time for the former tennis pro from Azerbaijan.
Triangle. You know, like the musical instrument?
Yeah.
Okay. Wasn't sure.
All in.
There's the shove.
494.
And Koroshenin calls.
Just better.
So Hacıyev, the player at risk, but he is a 3-1 favorite here. Obviously, he has slightly more equity than usual against ace-king because we saw Max Silva fold an ace.
Great spot to be in, but much better once those 5 cards are out on the board and there is no ace out there. And a myriad of other things that could undo you.
The flop has no ace on it. 8-6-4. 2 diamonds out there, though. Koroshenin picks up a backdoor flush draw. His immediate out to the 2 aces in the deck. That takes away diamonds as an opportunity. So Hacıyev just has to fade an ace on the river. Ilkin Amarov wanting any card other than an ace for his friend.
Ilkin is milking it.
It's a jack, king's hold, and Hacıyev doubles up through Koroshenin.
Staying alive.
Second man. King's ace king.
So Hacıyev now second in chips with around 42 bigs. Koroshenin drops below the 20 big blind mark. Max Silva's all in. It's all drama here.
Well, if he's probably all in correctly because all that stuff about short stack jamming, right?
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, we think.
277.
Well, this should be a call.
Yeah, I mean, you would think so.
I said I will take over on 1.
I mean, I didn't invent an app for it or anything,
No,
but
of course. You said you're gonna be once.
I meant how long it takes to get all in.
Oh, okay. Now you said you're gonna be all in at least once in the next 20 minutes, and I say if that would be the line, I would take the over on that.
Koroshenin calls. The blinds fold, and Max Silva is at risk.
Okay.
he's run pretty good in these situations.
Dama 9.
Queen 8 suited plus.
Dama 9. Max Dama 9.
It's okay, bro.
I mean, yeah.
I assume he's checking it after
You
the
don't have any
fact.
diamonds. It's just over.
I mean, I had a 10 and an 8, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna get both of them.
The only all-in Max loss was the legit flip. Every time he's been behind, he's won.
Classic race to me. Flip.
Classic race is underway.
Not quite a race.
Oh, you're gonna make you sweat it out.
I'm just not going to call it a race because I can't do
have any of these
race
out?
situations for every
should.
frickin' all-in.
No,
Ace high holding.
I don't like that one. we get anyone?
He folded one down, one out left.
I know. I don't like it.
One out.
Well, that's good game, sir. Max Silva drawing dead on the turn as Koroshenin turns a straight. And Max departs in 4th place, cashing for 164,030 euros. And we are now three-handed in this 25k high roller.
Nuts.
A lot of people are going to be sad to see Max go.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Enjoy.
The maximum amount of silver, but the minimal amount of chips, i.e. 0 chips. Koroshenin calls in the small. Hacıyev with ace-10 in the big.
We've seen a lot of this limp small blind, raise big blind hand so far since I've been watching. We should see if he decides to raise from the big blind, and then how Koroshenin, how do you say his name? Koroshenin?
You got it the second time.
Koroshenin.
Second one.
Koroshenin.
Yes.
Okay, Shannon. Go with Shannon. So this is a spot where he actually might limp re-raise with the 2 3s, but you know, you could also make a case for calling. Folding is not the play. It's one of the two, raising, re-raising or just taking a flop with the 3s.
Now, if there's one thing we know about Alexei Koroshenin, and that's not just based on this final table, but also the final table that Joe and I called in Vienna, where these two, well, rather where Koroshenin won his main event title, is he doesn't do anything quickly.
Well, that's too bad.
I knew you'd have strong opinions on that one.
I just, it's nonsense. It's nonsensical to waste 45 seconds every time before a decision. There's no, like, theoretical reason why that's worthwhile. I mean, you could do it in 20, which is already still a little bit more than I would suggest, but, you know, it's still within the rules, so he's allowed to do it.
So Koroshenin decided to take a flop, and he's still ahead after the flop. Actually a 77% favorite now.
And it's a really good flop for him, because even if he is up against a better hand, you know, he's got the extra outs with the gut shot straight draw. And that's not a flop that hits many pre-flop raisers' hands. I'm surprised to see Hacıyev check that flop, but it worked out for him.
Absolutely, because he's hit his 10 on the turn, and now he's an 86% favorite. And now Koroshenin decides to lead.
Yeah, you can't blame him for leading. You know, the player check back behind looks like he has a lot of ace-high kind of hands. Only ace-10 really is the one that he'd worry about, or other than, you know, some other 10s that he could have raised with, like 10-jack, 10-queen, 10, whatever. But it's fine to bet here to protect the 3s, and also, you know, as I mentioned, he has extra outs with the gut shot, so he's got 6 outs he's got to think at the very least. So the dilemma here is whether you raise with the 10s and the ace or you just call.
Yeah.
Raising is dangerous because if you do raise and then, you know, your opponent re-raises, you could be getting bluffed off, you know, a hand if he has something like 7-8 where he's turned a double gutter straight draw. The safer play here is to just call with the 10s. There's not a lot to protect against. There's no flush draw present. Not a lot of, you know, not a lot of very visible straight draws. Looks like he is going to raise.
Yeah, that's a raise for sure. It looks like 280,000. Sure enough, another 175,000 for Koroshenin to call.
So the question when you raise here is you have to ask yourself, are you raising to in the hopes that your opponent re-raises you to get it all in, or are you raising to protect your hand, or are you raising for value? A lot of different things have to go through your head, but you need to think about this stuff before you make the raise. You don't want to do this where you raise and you go, oops, he re-raised? What do I do now? Like, that should go through your head before you make the play.
Spear says, great to have a high-profile pro like Daniel so vocal about people playing slow. I know it's a pet peeve of yours, Daniel, and I know that you are a very vocal advocate of the shot clock.
Yeah, I'm also a very big advocate of using the clock. So if players are taking too long, it shouldn't be seen as a, you know, there shouldn't be like clock shaming. If people call the clock, that's within their right, and they should not be shamed. I've seen too much of that where someone calls the clock and people give them, you know, guff about it and say, why are you calling the clock? Da, da, da. Listen, It's within your rights to take time, right? It's also within my rights to say that's too much. And if the dealer agrees and says the player's been given enough, then the floorman makes a decision and a clock is called. It's within your rules to use too much time. It's within my rules to say no. That's part of the game. So people shouldn't be discouraged from calling the clock.
So in Koroshenin's position, as you said, Daniel, you don't blame him for leading here with no c-bet from Hacıyev on the flop. But now he's facing this raise. How are you feeling about a pair of threes in this spot?
I certainly don't think he's thinking about folding. I think he's thinking about making a play here. It's very unlikely that his opponent has a hand better than one pair, right? So he could make, he could re-raise here.
Well, he's made his play. His play was to move all in, and he gets snap called by Hacıyev.
So clearly Hacıyev, raised to induce the shove because he didn't take much time to call it.
Wow, he did induce a shove, and he snap called, and Koroshenin is at risk here. They're just verifying the stacks, but we believe that Hacıyev has like one big blind left. So unless there is a 3 or a 5 on the river, Alexei Koroshenin is out in third, and we're going heads up. It's a 9, and that'll do it for the EPT 10 Vienna main event champion. He's done, and Hacıyev's going heads up against Jan for the title.
Good luck, guys.
So clearly he took the riskier line there with the 2 3s. You could make a case for calling. His hope was to get him off a one-pair hand, and clearly his read was wrong because that's exactly what his opponent had, and he snap called him. So miscalculation, misread there, and he's out in third place.
Wow, Alexei Koroshenin cashing for 217,000 euros, and suddenly Ramin Hacıyev has the chip lead. 1.8 million for him, 1.4 million for David Jan, and we are already heads up in this 25k high roller. And that is the difference in prize money. Not too severe. Decent payout structure here in this 25k event. 334,000 for the runner-up, 465,800 for the winner, plus, of course, that prestigious trophy and the all-important title that goes with it.
We'll have a chip race after 20 minutes.
So we're going to get cards in the air in just a moment.
Good luck.
Here we go. Blinds are still 12,000, 24,000 with a 4,000 ante. Still got 26 minutes left at this level. Still relatively deep, by the way. Hacıyev with 76 big blinds. David Jan with 58 big blinds.
Yeah, with that many blinds at stake, even though they're heads up and going to be playing more hands, there's so much play left. This thing could go a while.
Can I have a still
especially with 2 professional players.
That's not mine. Yeah.
Well, Hacıyev, of course, does not claim to be a professional, says that poker is his passion, it's his hobby. He runs a series of businesses back in Azerbaijan. But I tell you what, for an amateur, he's had a lot of good results in big buy-in events, including a third-place finish in the EPT High Roller in Prague last season. This will be hand number 92 of the final table. Jan first to speak on the button. He's posted the small blind. And he is going to raise it with 9-7 of clubs. Makes it 53k. Jack 7 for Hacıyev. Joseph, it's Domination Nation.
It is the nation of domination. I know it well. I've been there many times.
I was talking earlier about playability, and while Hacıyev has the best hand, the hand that Jan has, it hits a lot more flops. With it being suited and a little more connected.
Oh,
and that's one of the flops I was discussing.
That's
called hitting the flop.
Domination rotation in a rather major fashion. Jan flops a boat. Hacıyev with less than 1% now.
And this is a spot where Jan should be able to get 2 streets of value. The flop bet and then maybe the turn of the river. It's tough to get 3, but if you can get 3 streets of value in a spot like this, and heads up, it's a lot more likely. That's considered, a real. I mean, that's getting max value. He's going to hope Jan will that the board bricks out, because if it gets too scary, he might lose his customer. Interestingly, both players really rooting for a deuce here.
So Hacıyev now officially drawing dead. Checks the action to Jan. He check called flop for 45,000. Let's see what Jan fires on the turn.
At least
A
he
bet
didn't,
of like 110,000 should get called here.
at least he didn't hit a jack.
Any bets? What, 105?
It's weird how Daniel can tell what the bet is from like 6,000 miles away, and I'm just waiting for the graphics to come up.
Well, we can see it's actually 130,000.
All right, so he's kicking it up, setting up a nice, good-sized bet on the river. I don't see how Hacıyev can get away from this hand right now. There's just so many hands he beats. You know, if he's up against a hand like King 10 might bet, just ace high, straight draws, flush draws, he can't just fold here on the turn with the 7. So tough spot for him.
Okay, well, he's now effectively been counterfeited.
That's a very lucky card for Hacıyev. Obviously, that's a terrible card for Jan, because if he's up against the queen, you know, he loses, and on top of that, he's just lost value against the 7 because he can no longer call. So really bad card for Jan. Although he did get 2 streets of value, which, you know, typically in a spot like that is about what you can hope for.
When you're Hacıyev in this spot, though, you're like, oh, man, and then you see the hands afterward, and you're like, oh, cool.
Phew. Yeah. So Hacıyev thinking to himself, man, I got unlucky. No, sir. That was your best possible card there. It really was his best card.
So Hacıyev checks for the 3rd time. 464,000 in the middle.
I would expect him to lower his bet size here, now hoping to get a crying call. So betting less than half the pot, something like, you know, oh, he's going about 215, looks
right
like.
about half, yeah. Dan, you got to check this in case your opponent has a queen. You got to slow it down.
That's not a terrible play in a lot of spots. I'm not kidding. It sounds crazy, but you know, what do you get? You have to think sometimes when you're betting, like, what are you getting called by, and what are you getting raised by? And if there's more hands you're getting raised by than called by, sometimes these goofy-looking checks might make sense. Like, it looks really weak sometimes when people check back a full house here, but it's like, oh well, if you don't think your opponent's ever going to call with worse, it might not be such a bad play.
I can't even really take credit for that because I was joking.
No, it's true.
Wow, Hacıyev gets away from it. But crucially, Jan winning that pot takes the chip lead slightly. It's pretty much even Stevens. Jan with 1.6 million, Hacıyev with 1.57 million, 68 big blinds playing 65 big blinds.
You know, a lot of heads-up hands go like that. That's what you would call. I mean, you know, you hear the term cooler.
Yeah.
You know, at an 8-handed table, 9-handed, aces against kings. Now, wow, that's a cooler. But heads up, coolers are as simple as, you know, flopped a pair and he flopped a pair. We both did. That's, you know, a smaller version of a cooler. And in that case, that's what I would call that.
Hacıyev first to speak. 9-6 off. And he's going to raise it. That looks like 55.
Yeah, and obviously 9-6 offsuit is not a great hand, but this is basically the standard play to raise on the button. The other option is you could limp, but it's too strong to just fold on the, especially because you have position. Now Jan has a very good hand to play post flop. He could elect to just call here, or, you know, decide to 3-bet. I prefer the call, take a flop, but it looks like he's going for more.
Yep.
David Jan re-raising with the queen, 10 of clubs. Making it 185K.
And this is one of those situations where I talked about where he's just probably going to win this hand pre-flop. And if you're going to do that, I think you're better off, like I said, polarizing by, you know, if Jan had queen 3 of clubs, I'd be more apt to raise with that than I would with a hand that plays so well post-flop. And a lot of things could happen on the flop with queen 10 of clubs. You could potentially, you know, win a much bigger pot.
Daniel loves flops. You don't know what those 3 cards are going to be.
Yeah. You know, the other problem with that, though, is, of course, you know, if you don't flop anything, you lose the pot more often. So you allow your opponent on the button to steal from you when you have the best hand. Looks like he's thinking about making a move here. with some, and he's not going to be a call. It's going to be a 4-bet, I would imagine.
He is
and this is
moving.
exactly the reason I don't like the 3-bets too often with Queen 10 of clubs, is because now you've been 4-bet, and you have equity, you have a good price to call, but you know you've built a big pot, you're out of position, and you're going to be in a tough spot, even if you flop something. He's definitely 4-betting, looks like.
Ooh.
248's the pot. So 4-bet to over 300.
So now you can't fold here. I mean, I think it's a mistake to fold Queen 10 of clubs because, you know, if you put your opponent on a range of hands that includes ace king, ace jack, pocket nines, maybe some other hands, it's like you have a good enough price to at least see a flop. The problem is now, you know, you don't hit anything, you're going to get bluffed, and you know sometimes against the range that you're up against, when you do hit something, you're going to go broke.
Hey kid, always see a flop.
No, always see a flop.
So Jan calls, and already the better part of 800K in the middle.
But notice who has the advantage here. Even though Jan has the best hand, Hacıyev has the advantage, well, until that flop comes out, because he had position and he was the aggressor.
So Jan,
this is a spot where I would expect Jan to win this pot.
Sure, 90% equity here. Checks to the pre-flop aggressor. Hacıyev with, well, not much, a couple of backdoors.
Well, the problem for Hacıyev, too, is the fact that, you know, that flop, the Jack-10 kind of combo flop, really kind of what we call smashes his opponent's in that, you know, a lot of the hands that Jan is going to 3-bet with and then call are going to connect with the Jack-10 board. So he's going to have to be a little careful.
Looks like this bet is going to be for less or right around whatever his last pre-flop raise was.
And you expect here David Jan to just call. There's no real reason to raise here, and folding is absolutely out of the question, getting the price that you're getting.
So 340,000 from Hacıyev.
Well, see, David Jan knows. He knows what he's doing. He's known for the last 15 seconds. Maybe what he's thinking about is he's going to play this hand going forward on the turn in the river. Or, you know, he's just trying to underrepresent the strength of his hand by wasting time. Or not wasting, but taking a little extra time.
So there's the call. 7 of diamonds on the turn. Hacıyev has picked up a gut shot.
Yeah, he's picked up a gut shot, and he's like looking at a spot where he thinks Jan probably now has a 1-pair hand. You know, this isn't necessarily my style, but it wouldn't be crazy. It wouldn't be that out of line for Hacıyev to continue with the bluff and go boom, boom.
Okay,
interesting, really interesting card.
Absolutely. Now, from our perspective, seeing both hands, we can see that Jan's got an absolute lock on this with 2-pair. But the board just got straightier and flushier, and Hacıyev might try and represent something here on the river.
Sure. So for Jan, he's got to worry about ace-king, king-9. Those are the only 2 real hands. I mean, a flush draw is probably bet. There's not as many combos of flush draws that he 4-bets and then continues with this board. So really only ace-king or king-9, but not a lot of value for Jan to bet. He checks here, and if Hacıyev has nothing, he bets sometimes, and if he maybe has ace-queen, maybe he value bets the worst hand. So I really like the check here from David Jan. Not a lot of value in betting, and then the guy moves all in, and you're like, oops, what did I just do?
And that's what he's done, Daniel. He shoved. He bluff shoves the river.
Count, please.
Oh, yeah.
And David Jan's asked for a count.
Just, I mean, like, close, not super exact.
So he's clearly repping here, not a flush, although, you know, that's a possibility. He's repping ace-king or king-9. King-9 is less likely to 4-bet, but ace-king makes a lot of sense. So Jan really has him narrowed down now to ace-king. Oh, he's called.
David Jan has called, and it's over.
That's it.
Hacıyev's bluff called by David Jan, who takes down the 25K high roller.
Not 9 high like a boss.
You got that right.
Yeah, how much you have, sorry?
They're just double checking, but it looks like David Jan did have him covered at the start of the hand. A difference of around 70,000 chips.
700 or so? I mean, you can count it like.
Nice try, Lao She.
We'll just get this confirmed, but we believe that it's over. We believe that Ramin Hacıyev is the runner-up collecting 334,000 euros, which means David Yan has taken down the EPT Malta 25k high roller, earning himself 465,800 euros.
There's only one thing left to do here. Give this man his trophy. Let's get a big round of applause for David Yan.